Hey, what's going on? Got my second vaccine shot. Feeling horrible, but so be it. Could feel worse. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about some stuff. I didn't see the whole episode, so I don't know if it improved. But I saw a clip. There was a show by the girl Zira, and I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to bash someone trying to make it. I mean, so be it, you know? Like, I don't want to make it seem like wishing lack of success or anything on this girl or whatever. Like, more power to her, knock yourself out, the whole nine. But I did find it interesting. I did find it interesting how a lot of people um I did find it interesting how a lot of people were sticking up for this clip. I'm gonna show you the clip. And I think the clip was really good personally. I think it was very unclear as to the source of its satire. And one of the problems with satire, if you don't make if your satire is too fuzzy and imprecise, then you risk being mistaken for the thing that you're trying to satirize. And that's one of the things that people were complaining about this with. But first off, one thing I found really weird, right? And I just really don't get it with uh, this blue check stuff, right? Is how people will just come out the gate and they'll be out for like a month or a few weeks or whatever. And people will act like they're the biggest stands of this person. Hey, Vita, what's going on? And it's like, there's no way you could be this committed to this person. Like, people become devoted to just randos to the level that it used to take years to get that type of fan base. And I don't understand what it is. Like, I don't understand what is going on where someone told me maybe it's like the death of religion or something, where people have to do something with that free floating devotion energy and they got to direct it somewhere. But whether you like her or hate her, I didn't understand the level of vitriol that I was getting. Like, this thing went super viral in a way that I wasn't expecting. Like, and I was like, yo, even if you disagree with me, like there was one guy, he was arguing with me like forever, and he just kept going on. He just kept going on and on. And I just started like clowning him for a little bit. Like, I just stopped responding to him seriously, and I was just hitting him with like reaction gifs, and he was just still upset. And that was yesterday, and I forgot about it. Then this morning I woke up and I saw the guy arguing with someone else to this day, to the like, he was spending the whole days arguing with people. I'm like, is this her alt or something? But there was a bunch of people like him, and I just was so interesting to me. And what I think it goes back to that whole mediocrity mafia thing I was talking about, where these people. This is what I was thinking. What I coined it is, I call it trickle trickle down like hype beasting, or trickle down uplift, where if you get someone who is like at your skill level, or part of your tribe, maybe went to like the Ivy Leagues, maybe he's a private school kid, is one of these socially connected nepotism people or whatever. If As long as one of you makes it, it's gonna cause like a trickle down effect. So you just want someone who you identify with in some way making it. So then somehow that's gonna, if enough people like that make it, somehow one of them's gonna drop the ladder for you and bring you up or something. That's the only thing I could think of. But I'm gonna play the clip and let um you see something. But um this is this is the clip. I'm gonna play it right now. Actually, I don't know if I play the clip, is it going to give a problem. Let's see, because I know the copyright beasts are crazy. Okay, so check it out. This is the clip. So she's talking to Fran Lebowitz, and this is it.
I know no one is ever allowed to criticize Obama, but
How do you
Obama,
start a sentence like that?
because every time I criticize Obama, everyone yells at me. And the main criticism I have of Obama is that he lost a chance when the 2008 crash happened. You know, that was a real chance to do what Roosevelt did. Obviously, this is, my opinion. I'm sure people get
Now,
mad at
I don't know if you can read what's on the bottom, but every time they bleep out her criticisms of Obama, it says things like not trying to be uninvited to Rock Nation brunch or white woman talking about Obama and everything. Let me enlarge it so that to make sure you can see what's happening on the bottom. But take a look at what's happening when they bleep. She goes, tough but fair criticism of first black president.
was a real chance to do what.
So it says white woman has an opinion of Obama. Like it matters that she's a white woman, but go on.
To do what Roosevelt did. Obviously, this is, my opinion. I'm sure people would get mad at me, but.
So liberal agenda, hashtag yes we can, and so forth and so on.
Wow, that makes me really sad. So thanks.
Are
you a socialist? Wait, Fran.
I have actually probably am more left now than when I was young, which is
really
unnatural. Like Joe Biden, I was very happy, obviously, that he won.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden's to the right of me now.
So, hey, shout out Comrade Fran. Who knew?
Now, the first thing that started happening was I made a tweet about it, and I didn't think the tweet was going to go pretty far, but I was like, that's like one of the worst unintentional political self-owns I've seen a satire do, where the satire made the satirist look worse than it made the target of satire. And then something that kept happening was people kept saying, it's a joke, man. And it's like, why do you think I don't get it's a joke? Like, just because it's a joke doesn't mean I'm obligated to find it funny. But they just kept saying, oh, it's a joke, man. Look at this guy, can't tell a joke, and they do that a lot. And I was like, no, I get it's a joke, but it's just a bad joke. It's not a good joke. And and all these people came out, and I'm like, is this like the studio? Like, I mean, I know she's a writer on Thesis and Miro. Maybe she got a following for that. I know during the pandemic she had her like web series, and people were digging that. But I just wasn't sure like where all this stuff was going. And this is kind of thing where the fact that it's a joke, it's supposed to be just this get out of jail free card. And I started thinking, I started realizing something, right? And I think the reason why a lot of them are like this is because they don't actually have a sense of humor. I think a lot of these people, they were never like the funny person growing up. They were never like, the class clown. They were never, and still aren't. Like, if you ever meet some of these people, like these comedy people, you talk to them in person, they're just usually not very funny. Sometimes, like, there's some people who are like stand-up comics and whatever, and if you ever see like good club comics and stuff, when you see them like talking a regular conversation or whatever, they got this kind of edge and this energy. Like, if you ever look at those stellar comic guys, do podcasts or just have a normal conversation, they're almost like always on a lot of the time. You could tell there were people who were just kind of like funny dudes, but I feel like these people, they were never really funny. I think what's kind of happened in society, I don't know when it happened, but the aspiring, it used to be the way to try to break into stuff was, everybody wanted to be a novelist and whatever. I think maybe that's too hard now. I don't know. Or maybe people don't read. But now, at some point, comedy, I think it's like the Daily Show and the Colbert Report. Daily Show and Colbert Report at some point made comedians the new public intellectuals. And it's been happening for a while. You have Samantha Bee, Hassan Minaj, um, Amber Ruffin, Jon Stewart, Colbert, obviously. But at some point, like that became the way to be a public intellectual, not being a journalist or pundit or novelist. And because these multi hyphenists, they just want to get in any way they can and move sideways, left and right, and just make it. At some point, I just think that was like, how it keeps changing the ways to get into private school and the way to get into the Ivies. So at one point, it's community service. So then suddenly, all these high school kids who didn't really care about community service just started doing community service because it was for their Ivy League school, application. Or they started saying, "Oh, we want hobbies. We don't want robots." And then everyone started playing cello. But they didn't really have a real love for it. Like if you read like the Tiger Mom book, she was like, "Yeah, all my girls play the cello," but none of them have like a real love of music. It's like everything is calculated. Like at some point, it just became known if you want to be taken seriously as a public intellectual or a big figure or hot. Because I don't know why liberals have just become obsessed with the informative comedian. The John Oliver type, the Hassan Minaj type, the whatever. That's just, I don't know why, but they love it now. And I think all these people kind of cynically got into comedy, and that's what they want to do. Because I've just never seen so many of these types of people, these Ivy League types, in comedy. They're all in comedy now. All these freelance writers are all also comedians. All these, like, just about every blue chick does comedy now, and they just. But like I said, I don't think these people are funny. They can't take a joke at all. They're uptight. Hey, what's going on, Bohemia? Hey, Yo Jay. Um, YA novels are like big too, and people are doing that as well. But I mean, a lot of people now are just doing comedy, and they're just unfunny people. And then what I think happens with a lot of these people, right? And share with your friends. Let people know we're on here. Go on your Twitters. Go on your Facebook wall. Let people know that we're on here. But yeah, I think not only are they not funny, they don't actually have themselves funny friends, and the audience that they go for are not funny people. Like their audience is just like NPR tote bag wine mom types who just uh see, this is kind of what happens if you don't actually have a real sense of humor. Then it's like you can't understand a joke. So the only like, the motions of a joke, but you don't actually have the ability to extract that real gut laugh, that laugh that comes like that you can't even stifle, like you almost piss your pants. These people will never get that kind of laugh, but they also aren't capable of having that kind of laugh. They don't have it in response to anything because they just don't have that humor bug. Like you can teach the mechanics of a joke, but you can't really teach funny and sense of humor. They're all like humorous people, but because they can't have that and they don't even know what that is, I don't think they even know they're missing something. They can only judge comedy on two things: if it follows the recognizable structure of a joke and if it affirms them. Like if it has to affirm them. So that's why, for example, I gave the story of when Dave Chappelle was getting canceled because of these trans jokes, and a lot of these social justice influencer types that start threads with buckle in, buckos, we're about to give a lesson, a thread, one slash whatever, and they're about to educate people. They're always educating people about something. But then once you ask them for data, they say it's not their job to educate you. Google's free. They only want sycophants all the time. But those types. They're talking about, what Dave Chappelle did is harmful. And by the way, uh, as someone who that's not even good comedy, and a lot of y'all might not know that because y'all don't have the range, but it's not even on top of everything else, it's not even good comedy. It's blah blah blah. So then a lot of people are arguing, they're like, oh, it is good comedy, blah blah blah. And instead of arguing about whether it's good comedy or whatever, I asked the person, I said, and I've told this story before, I apologize if you've heard it before, but I was thinking, instead of arguing with this person, let me find out what this person thinks good comedy is. So I said, hi, and I pretended to be a sycophant because that's the only way they'll not bite your head off. So I was like, oh, I'm trying to learn. Can you give me an example of good comedy so I can stop watching this bad comedy? And then they were like, well, there's some things you would like. You might like. First off, I would try to find stuff that's more inclusive and has different voices. Your comedy needs to be intersectional. I would start with like Two Dope Queens, and and they're naming all this stuff. I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I was thinking to myself, you really think this is funny and funnier than Dave Chappelle? And I don't think she was lying. I think because she can't tell funny, she just knows they both have the cadence and structure of a joke, except one makes her feel bad and one makes her feel good. So I just think like what they hear is like, it's kind of like when a sociopath or an autistic person, someone who has some trouble with emotional intelligence has to kind of look at things and study cues to tell what emotions being through trial and error, and then learn the response that they're supposed to do. But they don't actually have a genuine ability to read the emotions or feel the things. So it's kind of like, I think they do that. This is someone talking. It's like, so no, 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 no. And they see like the cadence and they're like, oh, that's a joke, or so like, the content's almost like secondary, right? But these people, they realize like comedy is a great way to break into entertainment. They go to like Harvard or whatever. They get on the Lampoon. They know the rules of making jokes. They go to improv in Chicago and they learn those rules. And it's like theater kids of comedy. You know what I mean? Like they know they know everything about comedy except how to make you laugh, but everything else they got, right? Yeah, I don't believe in this stuff because everyone believes comedy should have limits. So I think it's I don't think it's a fair question because everyone thinks that they think comedy has no limits, but then when it hits the limits, I think what needs to be asked is, what do we all agree the limits of comedy should be and why? Like I don't really believe the whole free speech absolutist argument that you should say all comedy has limits or it doesn't, because no one really wants limit free comedy, and to give an example, like a lot of people who are okay with someone using one word, when Kramer was saying the N-word to people, a lot of people didn't want to come out and back that one up even under the free speech argument because they kind of realize that's going to look bad, yeah, joke by pattern recognition. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. They learned this stuff by reading cues and pattern recognition. And, so they studied, like they went to joke class in Harvard, or they took improv class, or they, they know all the rules for a joke and what makes whatever. And this kid that it's diverse, that it's whatever. Now, what happens is that's why people kept coming at me and saying, do you know it's a joke? Because in their mind, because that's how they are. They laugh robotically when they see, oh, it's someone I like and they're making a joke. I'm supposed to laugh. So even if you don't laugh, they think, oh, you don't get us a joke, or you get us a joke, but you're not smart enough to understand the joke. Because if you understand the joke, you would, because the joke is affirming their worldview, and these people cannot believe that anybody could hear their worldview in good faith and full intelligence and disagree with it, then you must not get the worldview. You know what I mean? But if it's a good enough joke, it could be like offensive and you'll still find yourself laughing. Yeah, it's like joking by algorithm, you know? Um so when you look at that clip that she had, that zero clip, you can tell the influences that you can tell the ingredients that went into it. You know, it has Eric Andre, you know, it has the beats and the pacing and the cringe of a Eric Andre. It's like those weird spaces and the staring stuff. You know, it has that um Space Ghost Coast to Coast slash Eric Andre, because Eric Andre is kind of like a live action Space Ghost Coast to Coast, really. But it has like that ingredient to it. It has the Daily Show slash, you know, aspect to it. It has the Colbert, I'm playing a character thing. And what a lot of people were saying to me is they were saying this. They were saying, oh, she's making fun of herself, you know? But I'm not sure it's that clear. Like, you know, they're claiming, oh, she's making fun of a black liberal. But Colbert was making fun of a white conservative. But Colbert still made sure that his real thoughts slipped through. Like, Colbert didn't actually bleep out. Colbert didn't actually bleep out what the liberal who was playing the fake foil to him was saying. You know what I mean? Like, making a joke about something, they call it hanging a lampshade, doesn't excuse you from doing that thing automatically. Like, I'll give an example. There's a movie that I like called Idiocracy. I think it's a little bit overrated, but I think it's good. But Idiocracy had this thing that was, you know, it was trying to make fun of how dumb the future got. But one thing I realized about it was the things it was making fun of, it was also indulging in. So they would keep having the people in the future doing fart jokes and masturbating and doing all this stuff. And, you know, the point of it was, oh my God, you know, look how dumb these people are. But you're still laughing at the fart joke. And they're still making the fart joke. They're just pretending to judge it. It's kind of like they're having the cake and eating it too. They're pretending to make fun of the fart joke while still getting the laugh from the fart joke or accomplishing. So I'm like, this coarseness that you're pretending to judge, you're still doing it, but you're also giving yourself a pass by pretending that you're, you know, judging it. You know, yeah, ow my balls. Where the joke is that the guy keeps getting hit in the balls, but as an audience watching Idiocracy, you actually laugh. You know, and you're meant to laugh at the. So you get the double. You get the double benefit. You get to laugh at the toilet humor, but you also get to tell yourself you're above it and you're an intellectual, you know? Yeah, so to me, the extent to which she is making fun of herself, I think it's a cop out. I think she's doing it so that anyone could be happy. And the reason I say that is this, because someone was wrote me on Twitter, was like, oh, she's actually making fun of, you know, the black liberal. And I was like, okay, she's making fun of the black liberal. Do you think any black liberal saw that clip and felt judged or got mad at her? And it's like, no, none of them got mad at her. Like, they're all like cheering her, you know? It didn't make anybody mad at all. And at the end, she still ends up judging. To me, she's calling Fran Liebert's comrade Fran, and putting so she's making fun of herself, but she's making fun of Fran Lebowitz. And if you even have to ask that, then it fails as a satire. If you can't even tell, if everyone could watch the thing and it's like a Rorschach test and they can see what they want of it, and they can see it as, you know, it's it's just badly constructed. It's badly constructed. Hold on, I was just send out a tweet real quick. Let people know we're on here. Yeah. So yeah. So um, I'm gonna show. I'm gonna show something real quick. I tweeted something just so that I could actually put it on here, right? So the actual thing came out today. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw some clips. I saw some clips of it, and check this out. I'm gonna put it up right now. So that clip I showed, first off, I sent it to a lot of people who didn't know who she was or what it was about. Some people couldn't even tell it was supposed to be funny, what kind of joke it was. They were like, is she a comedian? Like, and they said the same thing that I was talking about. They said, okay, we can tell it's kind of comedy because it has the beats and feelings of comedy, but like, what exactly are the jokes, or what's it making fun of? And what people were kind of trying to say wasn't that they couldn't tell that it was comedy, but it was missing what you know whatever it is that makes comedy funny. And again, people are taking that as, oh, people aren't smart enough to be able to tell what jokes are and everything. And um let's see. Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna put it up right now on the screen. So these screen caps came out from the thing, and it has stuff like, so Fran Lebowitz, Martin Luther King of white women. So I guess they're saying that because a white woman dared to criticize Obama, oh, who does she think she is? She's like the Martin Luther King of white women. Then there was this screen cap where they photoshopped her over a black man getting arrested during Jim Crow as Fran Lebowitz, I Have a Dream. Then Fran Lebowitz, I Have Another Dream, and she's speaking at another thing. And again, it's not funny, but also like, what are you trying to say in light of the rest of the stuff of making fun of of bleeping out her talking about Obama and saying a white woman has an opinion on Obama? Like, is it still clear that she's actually making fun of herself and supporting, there was a part that said tough but fair criticism of Obama, but she still bleeped it out. And people are saying, oh, she's showing that it's good criticism of Obama, and she's making herself the butt of the joke for not willing to let it play because she wants to be at Rock Brunch. But I'm like, the reason why that's not funny, she jokes that she's bleeping it out because she wants to be invited to Rock Nation Brunch. But the problem is, in real life, when she does get invited to Rock Nation Brunch, she's really gonna go. Like, Stephen Colbert, wouldn't have blocked out his guest, his liberal guest, anti-conservative commentary just to commit to the bit. The point was to make sure that the liberal part got heard, and that the Republican part sounded absurd. But on top of that, Stephen Colbert wasn't trying to get invited unironically to CPAC. And if he did get unironically invited to CPAC, he wouldn't go sincerely. You know what I mean? I don't know what Zizek said about Kung Fu Panda, but yeah. So in light of those captions, like, I think it's fair to say it wasn't just making fun of, but then a lot of people were like really vehemently defending her in a way that just seems so weird to me that I just can't understand how she has stands this rabid. And if they're like bots or what, I don't know, somebody's alts. But yeah, they were going, and it was always the same thing that you can't tell us a joke or you're too stupid to tell us a joke. And I want to show you guys something that I think is pretty interesting. Um, give me a
Hey,
second.
hey,
Oh, hey,
everybody.
hey, what's going on?
I was asking when you're going to be on, so I might have just jumped in at your end point, huh?
Oh no, it's cool. It's cool. You can come in. It's all right. Yeah. In fact, this is good because you can talk while I'm looking to set this up.
Yeah, I was actually listening to you and what you were talking about, and I have to say I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I also feel like it's interesting because that white liberal comedy, like this girl Z-Way or whatever her name is,
Yeah.
she actually reminds me a lot of Jessica Williams,
Yeah.
and it's that same sort of like white liberal humor. That's
It's really
pretending.
dry.
It's dry, and it's pretending to be like this political comedy, but it's not really. Like it's not really real. It's not real political commentary. Like that clip you showed wasn't real political commentary. It was just a non-funny jokes. I didn't even think it was funny. It was clear, like you said, the beats of it being a joke were there, but it clearly was like not funny. If it wasn't for the fact that it was the rhythm of a joke, you wouldn't know it was a joke. You would just
Yeah.
think it was just an interview with, because nothing about it seemed all that interesting. Nothing
Yeah.
about it even
It
seemed
was
all
the
that
context. It was the context cues I told you it was a joke.
right. Right.
This is what somebody wrote. This guy Steve Morris. He goes, Z-Way is great, and the psychotic replies from lame weirdo softies are a timely reminder of that enduring, under-discussed truth. And then he put this guy with a tank top with a shirt on it. It says, "Just because I didn't get a joke doesn't mean it wasn't a joke." Which no one was saying it wasn't a joke. We're saying it's not funny. And in fact, if a reasonably internet literate person would get it, the misinterpretation is actually on me. And I asked them, "What did I misinterpret?" Like they act like this. This is the other thing with them. They act like their
I
humor is
saw
so
that.
deep. Yeah, they act like the humor is so deep that you need like a Ivy League degree to understand it. There's nothing deep about that. It's like the arrogance to even think that someone can't get that joke.
Yeah,
You know?
I saw that too in your comments, and I saw people saying things like, "You just if you didn't get the joke, just say so." Or I was just like, everybody got it. It wasn't deep. Oh, he said if you didn't know what they don't know what Rock Nation brunch is.
Yeah. Yeah,
Why?
that's what someone else said. So someone said that I guess they don't know what Brock Nation brunch is. It's like, no, just recognizing a reference is not a joke.
Right. Yeah. I was really I was confused on how people were upset with what you said, because I thought what you said was pretty basic. It's like when people get upset at things I say that I think are just whatever. Like I really don't be seeing half the shit you say to be all that controversial. Then I look up and it has like 1,000 retweets.
Oh yeah, that one got really. That was like last count was like 3,000 or something, and people were, and I was like, who are this woman's fans like this? Like, I just refuse to
I
believe they're
never
real fans.
even heard of her until I saw like the trailer for that show, however weeks ago, right? I had never heard of her. I don't think she's funny. I don't think her trailer for her show was funny. I don't like that style of comedy anymore. I think it's old and dated.
Yeah,
Um, that I'm going to pretend to be sporadic and make these smart ass jokes because most of their off the cuff jokes aren't that funny. Like I think Stephen Colbert is actually funny, right?
yeah. I think it's actually funny, and you know who he's making fun of at least.
Right. And he stays in character. At least when he had his show, the Colbert Report, he stayed in a character. You know what I mean? And he was good off the cuff. So even if it wasn't just like I knew it was a joke because of how he said it. You know what I mean? It wasn't just this is the rhythm of a joke. Clearly, this must be my line. He would do off the cuff improv comedy. And I don't think these people are really that good at it. Even if they're doing somewhat improv, it's like white boy sarcasm, but even less funny.
Yeah, Yeah, someone said it's people who took the same awful comedy class and hope to have a show like this one day. I think it's what it is. I think a lot of these people they want her to win because it makes them feel like, hey, I could win too. Because this is the kind of stuff that I would do. So I needed to win. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm about to play something, and I think this is really how these people do comedy. But hold on, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I think these people do comedy the way um a sociopath like reads emotions, like how a sociopath they don't understand emotions, so they have to like study things and try to understand through context cues what when they should be upset and when they should be um
Yeah.
happy. I'm like, I think that's what these people are. And I want to find this interview I thought was pretty. Have you ever seen Dexter?
I saw like the first couple episodes.
Like Dexter used to not understand like emotions, and he would like
He was
always
a sociopath, right?
yeah, and he would always like get things kind of wrong. Okay, so oh this is a good one. Hold on, I'll put this one up. But this guy is talking about sociopaths. He's like a profiler, and he was teaching Nicole Kidman how to play a sociopath in this movie with Alec Baldwin, and he was a movie consultant about criminal psychology. So let me just put it on right now. And the video is called "How Psychopaths Hide by Mimicking and Faking Emotion," and it's not actually about stand-up comedy, but I think it's the same. In a weird way, it applies to these people. I'm gonna play it right now. That's what. Oh wait, it's sped up. Let me put it on normal speed. Okay, here we go. It's still going fast, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll fix it right now. Okay, here we go.
Mistake that most people make, and this includes not only the general public, but people like law enforcement officers who are trying to interrogate somebody, is the belief, the feeling that everybody else thinks and feels the way we do. That if there's an emotional event, say, look at that, doesn't that just rip your heart out? And you expect everybody to get the same reaction, but the psychopath is looking at it, and for him, it's a non-emotional event.
And I think that's what jokes are to them. Like they see people laughing at a joke. They might see people laughing at Dave Chappelle or Eddie Murphy or something, and then they don't feel anything, but they're looking at everyone else laugh, and they're like, what's going on?
Psychopath is expressing emotion. Is it the Stanislavski method of acting? Is he actually feeling it, and he's able to project what's inside outside? And the answer is probably not. They're using facial expression, movements, body language that seems appropriate to an underlying emotional state, but is fake.
Which I think is how
the feeling that everybody else
which I think is how they do comedy, how they do jokes. They like do what they think are the corresponding facial expressions and hand movements and the cadence and the pattern recognition of a joke. But I think they're also like that when it comes to laughing at stuff. Like if you ever notice a lot of these types of people, when they retweet stuff and they put like 50 happy emojis on it, where they say I'm screaming all in caps and SKS, SKS, SKS. Then you look at the actual thing, you're like, okay, that's not really that funny. Like, why are you overreacting? And I don't think they even really feel real. They don't know what's funny. So that's why everything's almost over the top when they find something funny. It's like they're overacting.
Yeah, I think also sometimes I'd like to call everyone a clout chaser, but it's like a way of trying to be seen in a certain crowd by saying, by pointing out whatever the topic of his joke is that would appeal to a certain demographic of people that you want to be connected to. So if this is the Black liberal sort of perspective, and they made a joke that kind of gives it that black liberal perspective, then you want to say ha 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 ha. So all the black liberals that you want to be in with see you, involved in their comedy, or like you feel like they feel like, oh, okay, you get us, so you clearly a part of us, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I also think too, one of the reasons why that becomes so important is if you are not able to appreciate the joke on a humor level sincerely, if you don't have the internal mechanics or emotional intelligence to grasp the humor, that makes the other parts of the joke more important, including what you said, like the virtue signaling, the whether it's the right topic or not, whether it appeals, like because that's all you have left to judge the joke by is how it affirms you, and if if it signals you're part of the in group,
Right.
there's a little bit more to this. So I thought it was an interesting clip.
Emotional event. Say, look at that. Doesn't that just rip your heart out?
Oh wait, I went
he's
back too far. Hold
same
on.
reaction. But the psychopath, for him, it's a non-emotional event. When a psychopath is expressing an emotion, is it the side outside? And the answer is probably not. They're using facial expressions and hand movements, body language that seems appropriate to an underlying emotional state.
I went back too far, but I'm
but
gonna
it's
let it play.
fake.
Here.
I consulted on a movie with Nicole Kidman called Malice. And she wanted me to go down to Hollywood to help her portray what appeared to be a sweet, loving woman, but who's really a psychopath. So anyway, she said, look, you've got to give me a scene. And I thought about it, and I don't know where it came from, but this is the scene I gave her. You've left your apartment, and you're walking down the street, and there's an accident. And then you look at the child who was on the floor or on the ground, hit by the car, bleeding, probably dying. But kneeling beside the child is his mother. And she's emoting. She's going through every possible emotion that would be appropriate for that particular scene. And instead of watching the child and being horrified by the whole thing, you're kind of impassive, clinical, you watch the mother. And then you look at the child, back at the mother. Then you just walk away, unconcerned, walk back to your apartment, walk into the bathroom, stand in front of the mirror, and mimic the mother's expressions.
And I feel like that's really what they do. Like, I don't think they're actual fans of comedy themselves. Like, they're looking at what the audience is doing and what laughter looks like and what a joke looks like, and they, just practice it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And I think I think it's really about trying to be seen by a certain group more than even like, I think that's the goal. That's like, because otherwise, like, a sociopath has a reason why they do things, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to either blend in with the space or be manipulative or deceitful in some way, right? So there's a goal in mind. So when these people with this terrible or lack of humor, what they're really doing is, how do I get in? Because I guarantee you there are probably jokes that would be offensive in their circles that they found to be way more funny than anything this girl Z-Way has put out, right? But the goal is to be seen a certain way. So you might say, cancel this comedian because of, maybe Dave Chappelle because he said something about trans people, versus this joke that clearly wasn't funny, but it makes me look good to this crowd. So I'm going to say, ha, 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 put all caps, yes, and whatever that you be saying, right? Because now I've branded my Twitter page or my Facebook or Instagram page, right? So now you can see the kind of things I find to be humorous. Now you can see why you should connect with me and why I should be a part of your group or your circle, whether it's online, real life, aggregate, whatever, right?
Yeah. And that guy who was mad at me, he was a writer at some publication. I noticed a lot of these people were kind of quote unquote creatives themselves. And I think what happens is they're the same type of people. And it's on both sides of the divide. I think the people making these jokes can't connect with people, understand the joke, and I think their audience also can't. So they're both doing the same thing. They're in a conversation. It's like two sociopaths. It's almost worse than a sociopath and a real person, because a good person, a good sociopath, can fake it good enough to feel like, you know, a non-sociopath. But these people, we like, if sociopaths were trying to have this fake emotion thing with another sociopath who's doing the same thing, and because they're both feeding off each other, there's nobody with the real emotions to really model. So the modeling goes more and more off. I think that's what's happening with these people, is that if they were like this, but they were forced to have a show like on NBC or something with a big audience where they have to have a mass appeal, they might learn to fake the humor enough to actually be convincing just by trial and error. But they always end up on these little Comedy Central or HBO shows, or, you know, Showtime shows, small audience, doesn't get a lot of ratings, and the only fan base that they ever get is either on Twitter or, you know, in these small audiences, people like them who have the same humor affliction. And I think they just end up getting worse off of it, because they don't. And whenever normal people say, yo, y'all just not funny, then they get like outrage. It reminds me maybe of their childhood, you know, when they just couldn't make people laugh. I don't know. Or it reminds me that all this work is not working.
Right. Cadogood said, I think these people in theory would be funny, but they aren't observant and are stuck in that social milieu that hates spontaneity. They are very sheltered, and the social cues center around social climbing.
Also, you know what? They probably don't have enough self-awareness, because I think great comedy, you can really like look at yourself unflinchingly and kind of lay yourself bare. And I don't think these people have that kind of. Not only do they not have that vulnerability, I don't think they, for all the therapy they do, I don't think they actually really have much self-awareness at all.
Oh, you know what? I think I like what Year J said, or Yera J. They know they're not funny, but they try to browbeat you into saying otherwise because they're all about conformity and clicks. Liberals are just about popularity and clout, mutual admiration society. So big circle jerk.
Oh yeah, but also I think a lot of these people, I think a lot of these people too, they're like overachievers and high performers and stuff. So they're used to being able, what does the teacher want in this test? I'm going to deliver to you. What opinion, you know, will get me an A? Like they don't answer like the law school essay based on what they really think, but trying to read the teacher's mind and whatever. And that's how they got into these schools. Like they're climbers and high achievers. So when they hit something that they can't crack, it's like it causes a lot of narcissistic injury. And I think they get mad when, because on top of that, these are like their lessers. You know what I mean? So not only can they not crack this, and they're used to being able to ace every test and beat every entrance exam and get every prestigious job. Not only have they found something that they can't do, but it's something that less educated people or people they look down on can do better than them. And and the people judging them, you know, who they think are beneath them, are the exact same people who are constantly like mocking their incompetence. And I think that causes a lot of their acting out too.
Yeah, it's interesting to me when I think about like some of the people who are in sort of that political comedy space. The thing about creative spaces in general, whether you're talking about music or any type of art form, right? Dance, whatever. There's something that's different about people who've been through some shit and they have a perspective and an experience that shows through their work, right? Like you can say what you want about white dancers. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how technically trained they are. For some reason, there's always that little bit of something that's missing, right? And you can get somebody who's never been to Juilliard, never had a professional dance training that can dance their asses off better than anybody that's been to Juilliard, right?
Yeah.
Because there's just something about a particular type of art that resonates, that's more realistic and authentic when it's from certain groups of people. The thing about comedy, what makes comedy good is when the person that's doing the comedy has a real story. That's why people who look fantastic and have this perfect body and like they just don't have that same sort of humor because they don't have, because like most of your comedy comes from the pain that you've been in, right? A lot of your music art comes from the pain that you've been in. A lot of the people who we're seeing, like, and I know this about Jessica Williams in particular because I tried to listen to two dope queens on their podcast, not the HBO show, but the podcast, and it was very much like Black girls from the suburbs who had to go visit their hood cousins and how they were considered not Black enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is literally what one of the episodes I was listening to, they were joking about, right? And trying to be funny about. But me knowing that that's her background and her perspective of kind of growing up in this sort of sheltered suburban space lends to the kind of humor that she does. It's very dry. It's not, there's no soulfulness to it. There's no, what made Chappelle's show so funny was just the constant, clearly understanding of what was happening around him, right? Even if you didn't grow up a certain way, you should at least be aware of what's happening around you. And I don't think they do I don't think comedians like Jessica Williams or many of these other political, I call them political, they're not really that political, comedians are like, I just don't think, like Colbert, he clearly, he has a different upbringing, of course, but I mean, he wasn't raised in the hood or nothing like that. But at the same time, he clearly had an observation that he was able to make where he could connect that with people. I don't think these other people know how to do that because they're so dry. They don't have that experience. They don't have that authenticity that just comes up.
Yeah, and I've read interviews on Colbert, and he's had an interesting like life and like real problems and stuff like that. But I feel like these people, they just haven't had any kind of interesting life, and every type of challenge they had has been one of, you know, just a problem they could study their way out of. And I think being funny is not that. Like they want the answer to being funny to be the answer to every other problem they had, which is give me something, some facts to memorize, or, you know, some book to read, or someone to brown nose, and it's just not working. I mean, it's working in that they're getting put on because, you know, a lot of these corporate people who make these decisions don't have any of those sensibilities either, but then they're not connecting to audiences.
Yeah, exactly. Jay, that's exactly what I'm saying. I hear what Vita is saying. It's all about genuineness, being natural, whereas being natural, whereas what's in is very mechanical, sterile, and static. They're all about ambition and social climbing. Remember I told you guys that's what everybody's doing, is like, it's all about branding. It's literally all they're doing. How can I brand myself to be in the industry a certain way? And the way the industry works now is people want to see if you have an audience. I was actually looking at somebody I wanted to interview for Champagne Sharks, and a Black guy who's biracial nutritionist guy. And he says some really amazing things that coincide with a lot of things that I teach about around cortisol and health, right? And I was like, yo, he seems really dope. He has a great podcast. I saw him on an interview on this podcast called The School of Greatness. It's a really popular podcast. And first of all, the interviewer is ass. He's a terrible interviewer. I don't even know how he has a fucking show. And I'm watching this interview with this guy, this nutritionist, and he's doing such a, you know, he's saying what he has to say. The stuff he's saying is great, but the questions he's getting are fucking dumb, right? They're very formulaic. You can tell he had a list of questions he was supposed to go down, and he was asking them, even though it countered the points that this nutritionist had already made, right? Now, I go to this nutritionist's website. I'm thinking, we could kill this interview. We'd do great. We'd smash this shit, right?
Yeah.
I go into the website to do it, and you go into like, oh, if you want media or booking or interviews, you know, click this thing. You click the little button on this website. It has like all these like things, like basically don't waste our time if you don't have a big audience, right? If your audience is like 20,000 people. And so everything is about how many people are following you. So how can you build up your brand? So even just to get connected with certain people who might not even be stars themselves, it's hard to even get those connections unless you build that brand. So what these people are doing is they're trying to constantly build that brand. If they can build up their following, build up that brand, then they can get those connections and networks that they need in the industry so they can continue to have jobs or get jobs at all if they don't have them.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what this is about, but you're wrong, the cleaner. Just wanted to tell you that.
Where did it even come from? That's like it's not even
I don't
related.
fucking know, but I just wanted to make sure that he knew that he was wrong. So just wanted to say that. What's the orange bag on Vita's door? You guys always do this, and that is a red bag, and it is one of the organizations that I do trainings for. So that's what that is. You guys thought it was a Target bag like last year. It's not a Target bag.
Also, that's come up before.
Yeah, they kept saying it was a Target bag before. Somebody called him Troy Average. I actually don't think Troy Average was a bad rapper. I just don't think he's anywhere near Kendrick. Like,
Yeah, but
Lazarus.
what if
Kenny said
what
he's blocking.
whatever even happened to him? I feel like after that Taxstone situation, you don't even hear. Did he go to jail? Did he not go to? That was one of the dumbest beefs
No, it
ever.
was drama after that. Because remember, like, there was drama about Rowdy's family. And, like,
Oh no, I didn't know this.
Yeah, they weren't getting the money that Troy was like running around preaching all this stuff, and it turned out his own the guy who got killed, his family wasn't even fucking with him.
Oh,
yeah, it was a wild thing. Yeah, Troy Ave. It's funny. I actually met him. I met his whole little crew, Hovain, all them, when they were out here in LA, and nobody came to their show really. Like they had to beg people to come to the front. And it's really hard if you're a New York rapper that's not like super big. It's a little hard to get an audience in LA unless you're Latino. So yeah, I don't completely fault him, but nobody's checking for fucking Troy Ave.
But also, I think that there's not really big new New York acts like that anymore, anyway. So I think even in New York, it's kind of hard. It's but that's a whole different story. But is this on? Is this up? Oh yeah, it's up. This was interesting. Somebody was interviewing a sociopath. I thought this was pretty interesting.
Who's the sociopath?
Yeah, I smile a lot.
The one on the left, the black guy.
The black guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Is
that something you tell yourself to do to make me feel more comfortable?
Someone smiling.
Yeah, I smile a lot. You know, especially if I'm in regular conversation, you were to see me on the street. Yeah, I'll be smiling a lot. It disarms people. You know, it makes them more comfortable.
Do you have the capability of feeling empathy for others?
Not in the same way that an average person would. So say, for example, if someone came up to you and they told you, oh, you know, my grandma just died last night. You may feel intrinsically sad when they tell you that. You know, you may feel sensations almost as if your own grandmother passed away. For me, it's not like that. I won't say that I don't care. That's harsh, but it doesn't make me sad to hear that at all. So instead, what I'll have to do is I'll have to logically understand that, okay, this is an event that people typically get sad at.
I think they do with jokes. Like, it's just what time to laugh.
Find words of confidence to give them. You know, I'm sorry that happened to you. I know that must be hard. Is there anything I could do? Would you like to talk? Things like that. My grandfather passed when I was about, I was 5 or 6. I remember sitting on my father's lap and he was crying. And I remember wiping the tears off his face and telling him it was going to be okay. You know, I understood that my grandfather was gone and he wasn't going to be coming back. But at the same time, I didn't understand why all the tears. I would say I ended up becoming very perceptive to people. It's not like a thing where sometimes people, like, I don't know if you can do it, but people can walk into a room and kind of feel the mood without even really interacting or looking at anybody in the room. I can't necessarily do that. So I'll have to walk in, I'll have to look at people, observe, you know, any body language. And then from there, you know, I would go off of that. So just all of that, basically, that is just simulated emotions that I've been using.
When was the last time you felt happy?
Yeah, so I think it's what these people do. Like, they can't they can't feel energy from people. They can't, it's almost like a type of autism or sociopathy. But one thing this guy says in this interview is that he says that when he does it and it's not working, he gets like kind of angry, or he'll find himself getting, I don't know exactly where to jump in it, but he says, because he's putting in all this effort, and when it's not working, when for some reason he's not simulating the emotion right, he's not getting the result he wants, that narcissistic injury happens. And that part of this interview made me think of like what these people are like. You know, they've done all this studying, they think they figured it out, and then when it's not working, they get frustrated, and that narcissistic rage flies out, which is what was happening to my tweet yesterday. Like, I mean, you saw it. People were getting really, really upset with me over.
I saw.
I didn't call her out her name or anything. I
don't even think what you said was all that deep.
Yeah, it wasn't. All I said was I think she really owned herself in this clip.
I thought that was such a basic thing, like a basic response to something. I really didn't see what you said that would garner all that reaction. Kenny said the guy needs a haircut and that's why he has no emotions. I was going to also say about that clip that's really interesting. It's scary because I know sociopaths, and so it's like it's scary because you don't if you're not familiar with it, or they don't tell you, you don't know you're dealing with a sociopath.
Yeah.
Because they imitate. So my brother says my dad has APD. I didn't talk to the doctor, so I don't know. I do know about the BPD, but I don't know about the APD, right? And I also know about the NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, and bipolar disorder, all that stuff. He has that stuff. But I don't know what the APD. That's my brother says. But if we were to go by just even knowing my dad, he's really good at imitating the emotions of the space that he's in. And having talked to my grandmother years after my dad had a bunch of situations happen mentally, I was talking to my grandmother. I said, "Has he always had these problems since he was a kid?" And she said, "Well, the problem is they would take him to the hospital, take him to the doctor to get him evaluated, but he'd know how to behave to where he didn't seem like he was crazy." So she didn't say that in those words, but that's what I'm saying. So they didn't know he knew how to play the role perfectly until he got out of that doctor's office.
That's one of the things they say about why therapy doesn't work on what they used to call cluster B personality disorders, which is like narcissism and sociopathy and borderline, is that they just use the lessons from the therapy to become a better sociopath, like to become a more convincing human being, rather than learn to undo the sociopathy. So that ends up making them hard to fix. They just keep altering, and I feel like in some way that's like a good analog for these types of people.
Oh, yeah. That's what abusers do. Abusers, like a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of people who work with children that are abusers, they constantly get jobs where they work with kids and they study psychology so they can learn how to, like, there's actually a really good podcast I'm listening to now called Camp Hell. It's about a camp for juvenile delinquents. And it was what they call juvenile delinquents. It's been operating since like the 50s or 60s or something. Founded by a guy who was a psychologist, turned to be a sexual abuser, pedophile, and almost all of his work and jobs have been working with boys in camps, camp counselors. He had a psychology degree, like all these things that taught him how to be an abuser and taught him the best ways to be an abuser. So it's important to be careful, because just because people are getting therapy or studying psychology doesn't mean that they're getting help for themselves or even plan to help others. They could literally be using it to manipulate you. So, like, my father took a lot of psychology classes. My dad has 5 degrees. I don't know if I told you.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my dad has 5 degrees. He has an associate's, a bachelor's, 2 masters, and a doctorate. Me and him were going to USC at the same time. I was getting my bachelor's while he was getting his doctorate. Not fun when your dad goes to the same college as you. For anybody, not just if your dad's a nut. But he studied, one of his degrees is in social work. For social work, you study a lot of psychology. You study people. And he learned a lot about how to manipulate people, even to his own detriment, from studying a lot of these things, knowing how the mind works. He would tell me how the mind works, and then he would manipulate me in the process of telling me how my mind works. Okay. It's almost like a movie, but you know, like how psychological thrillers are, like how somebody that's fucking with somebody's head the whole time.
Yeah.
While like almost tricking them into thinking that they're being helped while they're really just being manipulated. That's kind of what I was grown up under. So I've seen so many of these sort of personality traits where people don't really have the real feeling. Like, oh, I'm really sad that my daughter is experiencing this, right? It's very like, I don't feel anything. Here's, maybe here's some logical solution because I don't know. I don't have any feeling about what you're experiencing. I don't know what that is. It creates a big problem.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a big problem, and it's yeah. It's just there's a clip I want to play too, but I know this thing's always funny with copyright strikes. But I mean, I'll see. That's crazy about your dad going to school with you. That's got to be. I don't know how big the campus is. Would it be common to run into him?
No, it's a fairly big campus, but because he was in doctorate program, he wasn't on campus all the time unless he had to be in the library.
Ah.
And his doctorate is in public policy, planning, and development. So that was a whole nother school. But I did work in the school of social work, and I did bump into him there because he was just over there for whatever reason. But actually, that wasn't necessarily a bad experience. He actually, the non-fun part is when you don't want your dad to know that you're out partying and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would thought. If you're like, talking to a guy, or you're partying or something, and your dad pops up, and it's like, damn. I mean, I'm sure he's not going to the parties, but
Yeah.
you don't want him to see you going either.
Right. And my dad's a little weird, so he could be a little mean. So I didn't want to be with my friends. I'm trying to introduce him to my dad, and my dad's like an asshole.
Oh.
He's very, in fact, people tell me now when growing up they were afraid of my dad. Even my cousin, who I grew up with almost like my sister, me and my brother and my cousin pretty much were always together. We went to the same schools. My grandma watched us a lot, and so she was even scared of my dad. So I just never really wanted to introduce people to my dad. He wasn't the nicest person.
Yeah, my dad was kind of. Well, see, my dad was weird because my dad, he would lay on the charm for strangers and then just be mean at home. So it was different.
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to put. This is something that I think might cause a copyright strike, but let's see. Maybe if we talk through different parts of it or whatever. But this is an episode of King on the Hill, and someone sent me this in response to the Z-Way thing, and I thought it was so good. I didn't really watch King of the Hill myself, but I thought it was a good clip. Right? This kid had to do a fashion show, right? No, he had to do a comedy show, and he went to, I guess, like the local theater person to learn how to do comedy, and the theater person was like kind of like pretentious and whatever, and the dad was trying to show him how to do comedy, but the dad was showing him like fart jokes and stuff like that, and I guess he didn't want to do what the dad was doing, so he went to this guy who was part of a famous school of clowning or whatever, and this is it.
And now, Tartuffe, a spry wonder dog, upsets a ladies' tea ceremony and is severely beaten.
Oh, God.
Of course I'd like some tea, as long as it's not going to scald me. Ow! It's scald.
So you see, he has all like the cadence of a joke,
right?
And that's a teacher.
Perfect. Don't be afraid of the silence.
Certainly, madam. I would like a beating. Wait, did I say like? I meant to say not like.
Getting a reaction, Bobby. They're booing you, son. You are almost at the ha-ha. The ha-ha, Bobby, the ha-ha.
They look pretty creeped out. I can see it from here.
So he's looking. That's the whoopee cushion.
Oh my God. What is that?
Wow. So he's about to use the whoopee cushion.
Yeah.
I had a few too many beans today. Oh! There goes my bean
Look at the teacher.
What? What could possibly be funny about fart noises? Bobby, You don't want these kinds of laughs. This laughter is ill-informed.
This laughter is ill-informed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like what these people are like. Like when these people see like people laughing at Chappelle or something, or a comedian like they don't like that they think is problematic, and they look around and it's like you should be looking at something intersectional. You should be looking at something, whatever, Yeah, this is not the right kind of laugh. What's wrong with you? And then they get upset,
Yeah, that's just another thing I hate that liberal people do is they try to police everybody, but they never want to check themselves. They love policing everybody else. But if you try to challenge their bullshit, then all of a sudden, like for example, if you make a joke about Joe Biden that they don't like,
oh yeah,
they're on your ass, right? But if they make a joke that is, in my opinion, clearly anti-black, anti-poor black, black men, all of a sudden something's wrong with us for not getting that humor. Like, oh no, you're the problem. This is the proper humor to have. Like, what?
No, yeah, for sure.
What the hell is comedy journalism? I'm worried.
Oh no, there's a comedy journalism now. People like review comedy and have columns, and but a lot of times they end up like judging the comedy on how woke it is and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
a waste of time.
Yeah. I mean, and at least that guy, he was kind of pretentious, so you could see the kind of intellect in the joke, and you can see it flopping. But these people's jokes, like that Z-Way stuff, it's not particularly smart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least that thing with the clown and the partouche, whatever, I didn't get it. I didn't find it funny, but I could see the guy was trying something, pretentious. But people act like that Fran Lebowitz clip is such rocket science. It's Fran Lebowitz. That's the one with the Z-Way was talking to, where she was just saying no Rock Nation brunch. Like and I don't know, is it that they themselves, the fans, are kind of dumb, so they actually think? Because I know sometimes when you are not, when you're kind of like sheltered and stuff, you'll try things and think they're like way more worldly than they are, and people will be like, it's just French toast. It's not actually a fancy French thing. Like, I'm wondering if that's what. Like, I just can't understand her fans, the ones who were like coming at me, if they were serious when they're acting like this was so hard to understand.
No, she's a black woman, and you're not supposed to diss black women in public now. That's just the new thing. People's Park Forever said, wait, conservative people hella police the conversation too. Let me just say something. This is actually a huge pet peeve of mine. If we're talking about liberals, that does not mean that we are making excuses for conservatives. It's like honestly, stop. It's just one of those things that really irritates me. Nowhere we're talking about liberals because honestly, most of our audience is not conservatives, right? Most people who are watching us are not even leaning towards the conservative side. We're challenging the thoughts that actually occur in the communities that we exist in. Most Black people are not kicking it with conservatives. So that's why we're not up here ranting about conservatives right now. That's not the conversation that we're having. We don't need to point out also conservatives do a lot of fuck shit, right?
Yeah, and people always say that if you're talking bad about someone, then you must be praising the opposite person. Right? It's not even. It's kind of like when you tweet something about, sometimes you'll say something about men or women, and someone will go, "What about the other side?" But I notice sometimes you will actually not specify a gender. You'll be like, genders should stop bashing other genders, and someone will still come in. But are you defending women? They want to make sure that you're explicitly, and you didn't even isolate one gender, but they still want to make sure that you're bashing the other side. I know people do that too,
all the time. And what's so funny is anyone who follows me knows my perspective is that 90% of the shit y'all think is gender specific isn't even gender specific. For some reason, y'all believe that all women do a particular thing or all men do a particular thing. And honestly, it has nothing to do with gender whatsoever, but people just don't pay attention because it might show up differently, right? So we'll say, like, people believe for whatever reason, men aren't insecure about their looks. Men can be insecure about that. Being insecure about your looks isn't gender specific. The environment that we live in might make those things expressed differently. It might make so in some cultures that might not be. In fact, I was reading this. What's that girl? Alec. She was this big supermodel. I forgot what country it was.
Alec Weck,
Yeah,
the
and
black
she
one.
was
Yeah,
saying one of the things she was like discovered just walking around her country, right?
yeah.
And she was saying one of the things that shocked her was like how important looks were to the Western society. She said, where I'm from, nobody thinks about looks in that way. There aren't women walking around with low self-esteem because of how they look, because that's not even a thing. So what we think is gender specific are mostly conditions and conditioning and environment. And so sometimes the way things get expressed might look different than what we realize. So that doesn't mean that you can't hurt a boy's self-esteem. You can hurt a boy's self-esteem, just like you can hurt a girl's self-esteem. So yeah, anybody who pays attention to me, you know that I'm very anti making things gender specific that aren't gender specific at all. I was on Facebook, and this guy posted something like, black women need to invest in their men because that support takes them a long way, or something like that, right? It was something like that. And I said, well, the big reality is everybody needs to be supported and invested into. It has nothing to do with a man doing it for a woman or a woman doing it to a man. It's literally a general thing. There's nothing gender specific about that. Support your fucking partner. Like,
Yeah.
whether you're a woman or whether you're a man has nothing to do with it. So I just have a big thing when people take this position of, if you're saying one thing, you're saying the other. If you're not saying one thing, then you're saying the other. And that's not true. It's not true at all.
And something, I thought of another example of someone who got pretty mad at people. There was this show. I don't know if you've seen it. I saw the first season and it was pretty bad. And I didn't try the second season, but it's called Black Lady Sketch Show. And
I couldn't even. I saw
yeah.
the trailer and it looks stupid.
Oh my God. I watched about half the first season and then I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I tried to be supportive and like push through it, but I was like, oh, I can't even do this.
I tried to watch Umbrella Academy. I didn't think that shit was funny.
What was the last one?
Umbrella Academy, I think it was called.
Oh yeah, that was bad. I mean, was that meant to be a comedy? I just didn't like that one either.
Yeah, I think that's what it was called. I know
what you're talking about on Netflix with the superheroes.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't remember. It was some sketch comedy show, and it was a bunch of black people.
Oh no, that's not Umbrella Academy. Umbrella Academy is a superhero show. Was it Sherman Showcase? That was one by John Legend. That was pretty bad.
No. Oh my God, it was pretty popular for a hot second. I think it only had like one season. I want to say it was Netflix. I didn't think it was funny at all. I thought it was super corny black people comedy.
Does anyone in the audience know what she's talking about? Because I'm kind of curious about this myself. Is this something where I would know it probably if someone said it, or is it?
Was it Random Acts of Flyness? Is that a sketch comedy?
Oh, that was sketch comedy on HBO. It was kind of Afro punk though. Like, the guy looked kind of Afro punk.
Let me see if it was that one.
I tried that one, and I don't know if I saw the wrong episode, but someone was like, "Oh, try Random Acts of Flyness. You're really gonna like that." Then I looked, and they were showing people about 10. They were lecturing people on all the different genders and non-binary, but there was no joke. They were just telling people like, "Here's all the different genders there are." And I'm like, okay, what's the joke?
Know, this might actually be it. I'm trying to look at the episode so I can see. So I remember there was a particular episode.
Astronomy Club.
Astronomy Club. There we go.
Oh, I never even heard of that one.
That's the one. Yeah, somebody was telling me to watch it because they felt like I would be into it. I realized that people think just because something seems pro-black that I'd be into it. I've realized that they're like, "Oh, this has African print on it. You must want it," Or, "I know you're into social justice stuff. Here's a book on all these random people of color around the world who did social justice movements." And half these people I don't even fuck with or agree with. But Black as Fuck. No, it wasn't Black as Fuck, but that's another dumbass show. That's
I didn't even try that one.
I saw like the first 5 minutes and I think I was done. Yeah, this one I was talking about was Astronomy Club, and they had an episode apparently that everybody wanted me to watch, and when I finally watched it, it was stupid. Was it Full House but black? It was, I don't remember, but yeah, it was really dumb. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think I couldn't even understand anybody thought I would like that shit. To be honest with you,
Man, unfortunately, listen, she deleted the tweet, but this writer from the show, her name is Ray Sani. She was a lot of people are saying, like, wow, these jokes, this sketch is really dry. It's not funny. Did a white person write this? And she got upset and she let people know black people are afraid of anything different. And that's why they can't find how funny this is. And plus, it has concepts they can't handle, like sci-fi. And that terrifies, and like people, like black people watch stuff like you're just not funny. You don't have to like be so angry and like
we are afraid of things that are different, and that's why
yeah.
we didn't find something funny. That, like,
And
think about how stupid that sounds.
she was saying black people only like you know certain types of comedy, so they can't. I think she's trying to. Was that?
Yeah, we like funny comedy. Like funny.
Yeah, I think she's trying to probably say something like soul playing or something. But funny enough, soul playing is funnier than anything she did.
I want to say soul playing is actually has funny things in it.
Yeah, it does.
So like, I when people say things like, "Oh, it's just because black people don't like this sort of thing," or like what black people do you actually be around? Because black people like sci-fi. Like, where did this come from? Where is this? And on top of that, there are actual, there are comedians that are different that people like. Like, it has nothing to do with. That's like saying we don't like, what's that guy who used to smash shit? Gallagher.
Gallagher.
You know, you don't like, or Carrot Top because you don't like things that are different. No, the nigga's not funny. You know, like that's what it is. It has nothing to do with whether or not we get. Somebody said the Frasier and Niles comedy. Frasier and Niles is actually funny though.
Yeah,
I mean, even if I didn't always like their jokes, they were kind of funny. I watched Frasier. I think it's a funny ass show, but that show is also a satire show. They're making fun of themselves because they're so snooty and like snooty shit. This is a question.
I found the thread. So I don't have to
okay, well, there's a question. Vito, what do you think of the theory that pop culture is picking blue checks because they hope to create a full-flagged counter-revolutionary class of black folks? I mean, I don't know about revolutionary, but I definitely they'll have a lot of black puppets with blue checks. I mean, I'm not sure if I understand your question, but if that's what you're asking, I don't think that pop culture is picking up blue checks because they hope to create a revolution of any sort, but I do think they're using them for puppets.
I think what he might be trying to ask is that they're putting out these blue checks because they don't have any revolutionary type of energy to them and all that. But I think they might be giving too much credit in that. I think they screen out anything revolutionary way before it's time to pitch a show or be picked. Like, I think,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that part is long gone. Like, I don't think you even get in the room to be picked if you're revolutionary. So not worried about that. I think what happens is, out of the people that are left, they judge black people based on if they appeal to their white liberal sensibilities. So to them, I think they generally think that these people are the funniest black people they know because they're judging. That's how they judge their black people. Like, you know.
Yeah, I don't like people who aren't funny and try to be funny, and then everybody else tries to gas them up or make me feel stupid for not thinking that they're funny. Like, I don't like that at all. Cata Good said, I hope someone slaps me if I ever say black people don't like York because they're afraid of things that are different.
Some people are people that you laugh at when they make a joke, and some people are people that you say that's genius or that's iconic, but you don't actually like laugh, you know. And I feel like that's the kind of person that, you know, they're looking for, the kind that doesn't actually get a gut laugh, but that people will say that's iconic, that's genius, but you know, like that's but this is her thing. So, and this is like a white liberal that said this in the quote. The white liberal goes, it's a guy, I've only been able to see clips of a black lady sketch show, but I just saw someone say that it must be written by white people. Ray Sani, I was bothered for you. So this white guy tags her, like, you know, the White Knight, where he's like, he saw like, so this one guy watched Black Lady Sketch Show. So apparently, I think he probably thought, man, I'm getting some real blackity black stuff. This is what black comedy is and should be, because those are people from his class. Like, she went to Harvard. Like, I think they like these kind of people. And he saw actual black replies, and it was saying bad stuff. So he tried to run, and he snitched to her. And but what I love is the "I just" with the hyphen. Like, he's getting choked up. I just, Raysani, I was bothered for you. And then when you look at him, he looks like this. This is him. And I don't think she realized at first he was a white guy, because she said later, "Oh, I just realized this is a white guy." But yeah. So this is the guy that was offended on behalf of Black Lady Sketch Show for people saying
that's a guy who was trying to get some black pussy.
Yeah, probably.
There's a DJ Quick song. It's basically my aunt's favorite song called "Black Pussy." I don't know why it was her favorite song, but but that's what that made me think of. He just wants some black pussy. I'm interested in her response to him, though.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting to next. She goes,
"Okay,
LOL. I saw one thing that said a thing I wrote was by a suburban girl. I grew up in low-income housing in East New York, Brooklyn, until 17. I think for myriad reasons, black folk are wary of and can be harsh with people in art that feel unfamiliar to them and say, quote unquote, white, when they just mean sci-fi."
No, that's not what the fuck people meant. Like, that irritates the fuck out of me.
And then she realized the person was white. She goes, "I didn't realize you weren't black when I wrote that." What I'm getting at is not mixed company conversation, I don't think. My bad. But that's the kind of person who's probably going to defend her anyway. Anyway, nothing I'm about to say represents anyone's thoughts but my own. But I think until recently, the only kind of black comedy that got greenlit looked one of two ways. And quiet as it's kept, lots of those were and are still written by and produced by or with white people. Quote, "I miss real black comedy from the 90s, unquote, when LOL, your favorite episode was written by a white Harvard dude. Some of the straight black men who hate just can't rap." Of course, because it's about straight black men. There's only people like black women.
So that's something that irritates me. When you look at the comments and you see everybody's criticizing them and they target black men, straight black men in particular, I find it to be really interesting.
Yep. Because I think that makes it more sympathetic to non-black people looking around, because I think that's for like the white people.
You probably got bust out. That's the other thing I want to just say real quick to that comment, because someone said it. Like, why does she use the term low-income housing and not the name projects, which I thought to be interesting too. People who are from there can say projects. My thing is, whenever I hear people like her, I don't know this girl from Adam. Don't even know who she is till this very moment.
No. You've gotten into it with her. You just don't recognize her.
I did.
Yeah. She was going viral for some other nonsense about giving white guys pussy for voting for Biden or something. And she got upset when people said, "What the hell are you talking about? Stop embarrassing her."
See, that lets me even know that she's. If I had got into it with her before, that means she's been on some bullshit before, which even furthers my idea that there's also, it's not just people who grew up in the hood. And I think people need to understand that too. Everybody in the hood ain't of the hood. And I don't even mean like everybody in the hood had to run the streets. I didn't run the streets. I was a square, I mean, I was in the streets. I was on my own as a teen in LA, but I wasn't a drug dealer or messing with drug dealers like that. I was around shit because I was just from here. But there's also this group of people from the hood that lived in the hood, but they went to school outside of the hood. So they got bussed out to these other areas or went to private school. And so their upbringing is still, in fact, a lot of times they hate the hood. So what they do is they get bussed out, go to some white school or some private school, and then they start looking down on the Black people that they live with in their community. So just because you grew up in the projects doesn't tell me anything. The fact that you said low-income housing versus calling the projects as a person who's allegedly from the projects, I find that to be interesting as well. That's a very educated term, right? That's a very, and I don't mean educated like went to college. I mean people who work in a certain type of field, right? If you work in housing in LA, I can see you using that terminology.
And something else that happens too, when Mario was talking about this, we were talking about everyone thinks that a lot of these people are suburban or whatever, but what happens a lot is that a lot of these people are from the hood, but they're not allowed to go outside. They're forced to be
Right.
inside. Their parents are like kind of scary, and the parents, like you said, want to bust them out or whatever. So their parents are always kind of scaring them about the people outside. They're like, you don't hang out with those kids. Those are the bad kids are going to get you in trouble, this and that. So they were in the hood and they were scared to
Yep.
go outside.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
Yep.
where a lot of these people are too.
And then on top of that, like even when I was in school, there were the kids who were they went to my school, they were straight A students, they hated the rest of us. They thought we were beneath them.
Yeah.
There are those people too. They were teachers' pets and they were favored, and that's why I don't like that movie Dope. I think I
Oh,
told
I
you
hate that one.
that.
Yeah, we've spoken about it too.
Yeah, because I feel like if that kind of character that was a person in Inglewood School District, he would have been one of the kids that the whole school praised and put on a fucking pedestal. That's how I know it's a bullshit movie. But that's because that's what I witnessed. Just because they're from the hood doesn't mean that they don't look down on other black people. So that's the other thing. So don't tell me. So even if people are saying, "Oh, a suburban girl must have wrote it," and you're not from the suburbs, they're not. It's not because you talk white. It's not because you like sci-fi. Because you're clearly putting out a perspective that comes across extremely anti-black.
Oh yeah, totally. Or just the humor cues just don't just culturally off somehow or whatever. Yeah, so she made it about straight black men. She goes, a dude said a simple dildo joke was a comment on black men not wanting to fuck black women because he can't conceive of sex and female pleasure, not including him. I don't know what that's about, but anybody could find one bad criticism and zero in on that. But most people I know weren't saying that. They were just saying, damn, is there any fucking jokes in this? Like what's going on?
Let people find something that nobody's arguing about and comment on that. Like nobody's debating whether or not it was comedy, but you're gonna argue the points that we're actually making, or don't pick out the stupid shit that people are like. You have let's say a thread full of 20 comments. 10 of those comments are gonna be maybe let's say 10 of those comments are on point, and then the other 10 are ridiculous. The person whose original tweeted will always respond to all the ridiculous shit and will never address the points that are made that are valid.
And then she actually addresses the woman. She goes, and at the risk of being reductive, I think a lot of the hate from women is envy that we were lucky to get to be the free black women society doesn't always let us be. I understand the resentment. I have it too. So basically, the men are misogynistic haters, but the women are just jealous that they got to be free and work on this HBO.
Guys are just jealous because they can't have me, and women wish just they were me. That's exactly how that sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just jealous because they can't have me, or they wish they were me. Oh my god, I'm just so beautiful and so cute.
I think there's something especially cruel about black women writing 90 tweet threads using social justice buzzwords to dismiss the honesty and validity in the blackness of black women and their art. She didn't say funny. Funny, she didn't say funniness. She just said the blackness.
Yes, this is the thing. She's consistently doing the same shit. Yeah,
you're supposed to laugh at it because it's supposed to be black, not because it's supposed to be funny. But people don't find it black or funny. You know what I mean? But how are you gonna say certain black women are not really black or relatable, then gleefully live tweet Euphoria an hour later? That's relatable, but I don't think most of the people criticizing her watch Euphoria either. I mean, there's a lot of straw men here that
But what does tweeting about Euphoria have to do with the fact that you're not funny and your jokes are corny and you're not connected to the people? I don't think people are saying Euphoria they have to relate to Euphoria.
I mean, who even knows? This last tweet is the best one though. She goes, all that is to say, variety seems to terrify certain black audiences who grew up learning black comedy is only one way. Yeah, funny. And that's okay. But you not finding something funny doesn't mean I'm chasing the white gaze. It just means I'm black and write jokes cleverer than you.
But it doesn't. The Black Lady sketch show, what network does that come on?
It's on HBO.
You think the fact that it's on HBO or any major network let you know everything you need to know. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with getting your show placed. You get your show placed, that's fine. But they're not putting on black women who aren't on, like they're gonna have I won't say not the actors because I don't know all the actors that are on it, but they're not gonna put together sketches that are empowering and actually empowering for black people. Like that's not gonna happen. They're also everything you're saying is making it sound as though your show then is targeting non-black people. If you believe black people don't like this stuff, then who is your demo? Because when you put
That's a
together
great point.
a show, that's one of the key things they look at. Who is the audience? Because that's how they're going to decide how they're going to market that show. And if you're on if you're not, let's say HBO, let's say you're on like CBS or ABC or something, they want to know what kind of sponsors they need to get, right? So, because the sponsors, think about it, the television show, even on regular TV, right, is just packaging an audience for the sponsor. That's all it is. So we need to get all these black people between the ages of 25 to 35 in front of the TV so that we can sell whatever it is that we're targeting black people to buy. I don't know, what are we buying nowadays? I don't even know what we buy because I don't watch regular TV.
I haven't watched regular TV.
We need to buy housing. We need to buy insurance, right? We want to get more black people to buy car insurance from us. So then we're gonna make sure that we target the shows that have that audience. So she had to already have an audience. No program is put on the air without them knowing who their audience is. So if you keep telling me it's not for black people because we don't get that type of comedy, who the fuck is your comedy for?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what I think too? I think these people need to stop aiming for prestige TV and Netflix and be forced to write for network TV, because even though like network TV isn't, highbrow, whatever, you have to be able to make a lot of people laugh. Like, say what you will about something like a 2.5 Men, or one of those things that I don't particularly find funny. At least it forces you to write to the lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? Like, these people need, I think, to just, because if you notice, they only aim to end up on these prestige type of things where ratings almost don't matter, and you can get away with having an audience of like 500,000 people and rave reviews, and then build up your name like that. They never try to get on anything with a big platform, and it's like they almost know that they can only get like kind of charity. You know what I mean?
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Angelica PG said it is on HBO because it's produced by Issa Rae's production company, which further drives my point. If anything, there's a reason why they fuck with Issa Rae and her production company, and they know what kind of content that's going to come out of her production company.
Yeah.
So that really, if anything, that drives my point further home.
Yeah, I think it's everything I have to say. Sorry.
You already? It ain't even 7:00 yet.
I got my second vaccine shot, so I'm
like, is it 7? Is it 7? No, it's not even 7 yet.
Yeah, no, I had my second vaccine shot. It's been making me kind of run down. Like, I'm not like, I know some people got super sick. I didn't get super sick, but I feel but I just feel a little bit like run down. That's it.
Your body thinks it's fighting off a virus, so that's what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people had it really bad, like they were throwing up and all that, but thankfully I didn't have that.
So he says, stay off Lipstick Alley for your mental health. And Isaac said, what's Lipstick Alley? That's another message board. It's an old one. It's one of those message boards that I'm surprised still exist, because message boards kind of died out. And then for some reason, Lipstick Alley, they keep posting drama. My mom actually goes to Lipstick Alley when she finds something went down. She tries to see, because she says Lipstick Alley is like the most investigative space you'll ever find.
My God, they do good research. Like, if I was the CIA, I would try to recruit off Lipstick Alley. They will find so crazy. You know what's crazy about Lipstick Alley too? They will have like 500-page threads. Like, if they get into a topic, they go deep, and the threads can go really long. Like, I stopped going on Clubhouse all the time because there was just too much drama. But what I would do is, instead of if you go on Clubhouse and just search around, you'll waste a lot of time. So I'll still go on Clubhouse, but I like to go for a particular reason. And Lipstick Alley is a Clubhouse thread where they cover the goings on of Clubhouse. So what I'll do is I'll just check in there occasionally to see if there's anything worth checking out there and Clubhouse. And that thing is like at 500 pages, and they do a deep dive. I don't know how they found out everything about everybody on Clubhouse, who slept with who did all this stuff, and I was like, damn, how'd y'all find all?
Yo, it's
They'll find your social
crazy.
security number. They'll
Listen, they find shit out about celebrities. That's the shit that crazy.
Yeah.
I thought was crazy. These niggas was finding shit on people. They found out somebody's real age. Like I guess with that girl, some girl lied about her age like most of her career. And then she accidentally slipped up and said when she started dating her husband, and it was clearly she was underage. Like, wait a minute, you had to be like 13 if that was the case. And it turned out she had been lying about her age for like a decade.
Yo, they cross-check stuff, cross-reference. They do background. Yeah, they're.
Oh, it's a mess.
Yeah.
I don't really. So, by the way, guys, I have a Clubhouse account now, thanks to T. So I'm a part of the beta crew for Androids. So I'm gonna be the star on Clubhouse if you want to follow me. I don't know how that shit works yet. I've been using Twitter Spaces, so I've been on there and running my mouth. People like me on there for whatever reason, but I'm thinking about going to Clubhouse and shaking some shit up. But I haven't seen any groups. I haven't seen any of the wild groups that y'all be seeing.
I think it's kind of calmed down, but it goes through waves. Like something happens in the air. I don't know what happened, and suddenly it explodes, and then it has a lull, then it explodes again. Because Clubhouse has when shit starts going crazy, people make spin-off rooms of original rooms, then response rooms to the spin-off rooms. So it's kind of like it has to get started for it to spiral. So
I don't think I'm following the right people because everybody I have so far is talking about pretty interesting, or not even interesting, but it'll be something like COVID-19 safety or
oh yeah, I mean
tips
that
for
happens.
mom tips. I haven't seen anything like that, like wild. It's really been pretty mundane things.
Once you start watching more, once you start seeing more of it and following people, especially if you make the mistake of just following back everybody that follows you, because that's the mistake I made.
Okay.
Yeah, some people okay, I'll tell you the rooms that pop up the most. The rooms that pop up the most are diaspora war rooms, Americans versus, and there's a lot of female incels there. I don't know why the UK black women are really, really big into colorism and hating black men. So the colorism rooms are out of control. There's our biracial people really black. That's 3 times a day, 8 hours a day. They have those rooms where people argue if biracial people are really black. There's our light-skinned people really black.
Yeah,
and these rooms repeat all the time. And
I don't even want to I love a good debate and discussion, but some things are just too stupid, and the response, not even that the topic is stupid as much as it is there's no way to have an intelligent conversation with certain people.
Yeah, exactly.
And the way that the conversation is going to go is going to be stupid, so there's really no point. Especially people make such stupid comments that you can't even debate against it because it's just that dumb, and you'd have to completely dismantle all this other bullshit before you can even address the actual point, and which would take too long, and people have zero interest, and they'll just say, well, you're talking too much,
and everyone talks past each other, and people filibuster a lot. You're right. I'm looking now, and it's actually pretty chill. I'm actually surprised. You're right. They're all normal topics. Maybe something maybe Android diluted a lot of the things. Yeah, I'm surprised. For example, one room that's popping up a lot was "Are Black Men the Weakest Link?" And then there'd be black men in there defending themselves. I'm like, why are you even going into this room? I don't understand. You're as bad as the people making the room. We're gonna keep going in here and trying to prove to people who make these rooms that black men aren't the weakest link. And
yeah, that's I wouldn't go into a room full of niggas that hate black women and
exactly
in them red pill groups and just be like, hey, I'm gonna defend myself against a bunch of niggas who've already decided that they hated me just because they had issues with their mom or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, that'll be one of those black manosphere rooms, one of the ones I was blaming black women for the Civil War and the Vietnam War. And then you go in there and we're actually black women didn't cause us the Vietnam War. Why even talk to a person
I feel like I saw something like that. I feel like I saw that black women had started the Civil War.
Oh Oh yeah, that was when we had the show with the expose the manosphere guy. Remember that guy? And he had
Oh yeah. Okay, I was like, that sounded familiar. Yeah,
oh man, that guy. I was going through a bunch of his. There was one day where I was going down a rabbit hole, like I was working and had in the background. I went down a rabbit hole of his site, and that was when I kept sending you guys that crazy stuff that they were saying. But yeah, he had the one about blaming black women for the Civil War, the the Vietnam War, the AIDS rate, um, all the. I want to find the one where they blame because I want to end with that one. That was a good one where he blamed the black men. He blamed the black women for the Vietnam War. Damn it, I can't find it.
yeah. They blame. How do you blame? I saw something that blamed black women for slavery.
Yeah, for messing up the slave revolt.
No, I saw one. No, they were saying that. So I made the point that black women date out less than anybody, and somehow it turned into some conversation about how black women own slaves, and they use like these very outlier mixed black women who were.
I know exactly what they're talking about. There's this book. I think it's called Sisters of the Trade or Daughters of the Trade, and this white woman wrote a book about this class of black women, like off a certain coast of Africa or something, that intermarried with the white slavers and had like a mulatto class, and that they were involved in the slave trade, right? But this woman wrote this book because she just thought it was an interesting story that nobody ever talks about. It's called Daughters of the Trade: Atlantic Slavers and Interracial Marriage on the Gold Coast. And those black MRAs, they made the woman who wrote the book into some kind of hero or idol. And they've made the book to be about how black women ain't shit and ran the slave trade. And this white woman was like, I don't want anything to do with these guys. This is not what the book's about. The book is not about this. It's not saying that black women like to run slaves or anything. And she's gotten this weird fan base. And if you go to any of her lectures or videos, even if it's not on that topic, they'll all be in the comments like, yeah, tell those black bitches. Like it's a really weird thing. But I'm betting it's that book that they were talking about.
It might have been. I know they posted some article about these black women who had owned slaves in America.
Oh, it's in America. It's a different.
Yeah,
book.
no, this is in America. But when I was reading it, it was clearly like those mixed black women in Louisiana who were like, I guess some of them had married. I don't think they were even married to these guys. I don't even know if these women actually had slaves. It was just like 4 women. Like it wasn't even like anything substantial, like at all. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like they're trying to make it out like black women were the main ones who owned slaves.
If you look up Daughters of the Trade on YouTube, you see videos people make. Daughters of the Trade documenting the black woman's betrayal to us from the beginning. And like someone named Pimp God is talking about Daughters of the Trade. So yeah, like all these BGS IBMOR is one of those black MRAs that tells black men to save themselves. Yeah, so they all but this is one of her speeches, and she's not bashing black women in it or anything, but if you look in the comments, it's like all the comments are full of people, just like saying, oh yeah, it's about time the truth came out about, like, you would think they thought black women were building slave ships and running the slave trade and piloting the slave ships the way that these people. I have a feeling they didn't even read the book, to be honest.
Of course they didn't read the book. They didn't. They didn't read shit. They went on the internet and been repeating the shit that all these other fucking coon ass incel niggas said. That's all.
Yeah, they make the black women sound like Bigger Long in a Harriet movie. They're just running stuff, Yeah, they're probably gonna make it sound.
It wasn't Passage Chaotic Goods. Sorry, T.
And it was all good.
Yeah, it wasn't Passage because I know what that is. No, he was talking. They were talking about women who own slaves. Like from what I could tell, these women were like one drop rule black. Like they weren't black.
White
It was like,
supremacists.
you sent me some bullshit link from some. It was dumb. It was stupid.
And that's funny is that white supremacists do the same thing. Like white supremacists will find like one black guy who owns slaves, and you're like, what about this guy? Tyrone Johnson who owned 10 slaves. What do you think about that? It's like,
Right.
okay,
What about him?
Yeah, exactly. Like, are you still saying slavery was wrong? Like, it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
It's
it's
still
like,
wrong. I don't care who did it.
yeah, it's not. Go ahead.
I was like, that's another thing that drives me nuts when people do that shit. They think they have a gotcha moment because they think, well, if you feel this way, you must feel that way, and I don't. It's like, no, they're both bad. Like, well, you women said this the other day. Well, I didn't say that. Not, but I'll tell people, did you see me say that? You didn't see me say that. So why are you telling me this? They got shit to do with me. I ain't made no type of comment on of that regard whatsoever. But people do that. If you believe this. I think it was like Kevin Samuels. Like, you talk about Kevin Samuels.
Oh.
What about Steve Harvey? I'm like, fuck Steve Harvey too. Like, what are you trying to get at?
It's funny that Kevin Samuels video where that Kenny sent us, where he was blaming a woman for her marriage falling apart, but the man beat her.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying that she should have stayed and took the beatings and stuff. I was like, is this guy serious?
That's why I say he's a clown who doesn't really want to help anybody. And anybody who thinks he's there to help you, you're an idiot. I hate to tell you that. He's not giving you game. He's not helping you. All he's doing is fanning flames of nonsense. And the reason why he gets, he has those women on the show and he just sits there and berates them for y'all's entertainment. Like, it doesn't help anybody. In that particular interview, if he was trying to help that woman, there were so many other conversations. Like, he told, for example, he told her, did you make sure the man that was beating her, that she was afraid of, to get therapy? Did she make sure he got therapy?
Yeah, exactly. Did you make him get therapy for beating you? And he had no agency of his own.
And you berate her because she doesn't want to be. She has a commitment phobia, or whatever it is. She has issues with relationships. Of course, she has issues with relationships. You're just beating her last one. What the fuck are you talking about? If anything, the question should be, ma'am, how are you taking care of yourself? Are you getting therapy? Of course you don't want a nigga right now. You fucked up in the head. Have you gotten some help? That's how you help people, not berating her. You say, hey, did you look into these resources for you? You've been through a really painful, traumatic situation. And right now, of course you're not looking for a relationship. No, he's going to berate her for not keeping an abusive man in her life.
Yeah, and he said something like, when you left the first time, that wasn't your fault, or that wasn't your fault. I'm like, okay, it sounds good. Then he says, but when you decided to go back, then it was your obligation to make the marriage last. But what kind of arbitrary rule is that? So basically, you can leave if the man beat your ass the first time, but if you come back, now you're forced to
stay with them.
Stay, like, it's just
listen. When people like him who have no experience or understanding of how domestic violence works or inter-partner violence works, intimate partner violence works, if you don't know how that works, you should shut the fuck up. You should just really shut the fuck up, because abused people go back to their relationships for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not familiar with that, and you run in your mouth and you can really say some really problematic and harmful things and put some harmful shit out there, because you know what the fuck you're doing and what the fuck you're saying. If you don't know how to deal with abuse victims, don't fucking talk about abuse victims, or talk to abuse victims, or give them advice.
And after Kenny sent that clip, I saw the follow-up clip. When it shows you another clip, so I clipped another clip, and I just started realizing between those two clips I saw, when he talks to women, well, particularly black women, he's always actively, it's very interesting, he's always actively looking for an angle to blame the black woman. It's so funny. So he's like, so how old are you? Oh yeah, okay. And if it doesn't work, he just keeps looking for something new. So how old are you? Oh, 23. Okay. What's your size? Oh, you're a dress size 4. Well, how much you weigh? Oh, you're 120 pounds. Oh, okay. How tall are you? 5'10". What kind of man was a big tall ass woman like that? That's what you ain't got. It's like, he just keep
What? You had
looking.
sex before you were married? Oh my god.
Yeah.
What kind of man wants somebody who's just throwing pussy away? You're a hoe. You're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's so clear if he's not getting the answers that he wants. He's not saying, "So are you a high value woman? How much do you make?" "Well, I make 6 figures." "Okay, well, what do you do?" "Oh, so you're studying all the time. That's why you couldn't get a man, because you were busy chasing those degrees." So like, wait a minute. If she doesn't have money and degrees, she's a low value woman. Her standards are too high. But if she does have 6 figures and a degree, now she doesn't have a man, because no man wants an educated woman. They want a woman that can cook. And yes,
I like what Jeffrey said. He's not interested in helping people. He seems invested in the idea that certain people should be punished for weird reasons he has in his head. Absolutely. People are supposed to suffer the rest of their lives and be lonely because they're not perfect human beings.
and we know the textbook example of that is the Future and Russell.
Oh yes.
Oh God, sorry. Russell
Sierra.
and Sierra. Oh my God, there's a whole cottage industry of, it's so funny every time
You should be
Russell
held
Simmons.
accountable. That's what I read. I was like, I don't know if people know this, but once you have a kid with somebody, you're pretty much held accountable every fucking day if you're raising that kid. That's accountability like a motherfucker. You don't need extra punishments in your life. Like, you have to take care of a whole being by your fucking self.
They will pick apart the social media posts. There was one thing where Future Russell was playing. Russell Wilson was throwing a football with Future's son, and his own son was laying down on the grass, rolling around, because the younger son is too young to catch a football and stuff. So he's just throwing the football with the son. They're like, yeah, he's throwing the football with a thug's kid. That's a real beta move. It's like what? So, yeah, basically, for some reason, like, they love Future and think like Russell. They're mad at Russell Wilson because he's supposed to, in their mind, be treating her like an Alex L cartoon. So even when he does something nice with her kid with Ciara, they'll complain on social media, and it's like, so he's not even supposed to be nice to Future's kid, So
Somebody said Russell Wilson is the biggest herb in sports, but you have to give us a reason. You can't just say some shit like that in the chat. What the fuck are you even basing that on?
Yeah, I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl.
And honestly, ever since he's been with Sierra, he's been hella soulful. So
yeah,
he amped that soulful stuff. I don't know what she did to him. Because when he wasn't the white girl, I will say he came across a little corny. I ain't gonna lie to you. But then, not corny. What's another word? Was it you that gave me a different word? Somebody gave me a different word.
He just didn't have swag.
Didn't have swag. He was swagless. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So he wasn't corny. Because when I think of corny, I think of a complete loser. He was just he was swagless. He got with Sierra. He got his swag meter went up a little notch. I ain't mad at it. But when you say he's corny, I'm interested in knowing what you mean by that. Mario.
Basically,
I mean, yeah. If you don't kick a single mother's child's kid, then you are a beta male. If you marry her, even more so.
Yeah, I mean,
I like what Kenny said. He's, Russell Wilson is the biggest role model in sports besides Steph Curry. And the reason why I'm going to agree with this is because Russell Wilson ditched that white bitch and got him a black woman, and he's been on track ever since. He's been running around happy like a motherfucker. That's all I'm saying. That's an example for your ass. Stop fucking with these white bitches and get your black ass back with your women, and you'll be happy like a motherfucker. I don't know if that was what Kenny was saying, but that's what I'm saying. Russell Wilson is still corny, but y'all haven't told me what makes him corny. Like, I'm still waiting for the reason. Did anybody? I don't see a reason yet. Nobody's giving me a reason. What makes him corny? Swagless, I can get you saying that, but you gotta tell me what makes him corny. Future's contributions to the black community. Are you just trolling us? What are you talking about?
Maybe, but you know what, man? Even if someone thinks he's corny, so be it. But the idea that he shouldn't even be treating the kids nice, that's too
weird.
much.
Because you're fucking weirdos. clearly they're still hurt about some bullshit. You know, they believe women are supposed to be punished. In fact, that's what somebody said, that Sierra is supposed to be punished. She's supposed to be held accountable. These women need to be held accountable for their actions. What makes you think that they're not being held accountable? Like, who, you're not even in their lives. You don't know these people.
But also, like, what action are they supposed to be held accountable for? Like, for the marriage not working? Because in that case, why does no one want to hold the man accountable? Like it takes two for the marriage to not work. Like, it's kind of weird, like, that they're supposed to be punished for the relationship not working and having a kid, but the guy is like a hero because he got off scot-free. Or because a lot of them that be hating on Ciara for being like a single mom, they don't get on Future the same way for having all those different kids with different mothers. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. How is that okay? But Sierra having one child with a man is somehow makes her the devil.
I think in a weird way they think Future got away with murder. Like, oh, he banged all those women, got kids, and he's living his best life, having new models while they're stuck holding the kids. So I think in their way, in their mind, they think he pulled off something, you know. And but for the woman, she's stuck at home raising the kid, and somehow that makes her a worse person, which doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Yeah. And this is the thing, any decision you make, good, bad, otherwise, helpful, harmful, hurtful, whatever, you're being held accountable for it by the fact that there's always natural impacts to every decision that you make, period. There's always a natural impact. So this idea that somehow people should be held accountable for decisions that they made that you have no involvement with, you have no idea what the impact has been on them, but you somehow feel like they're supposed to be suffering as a part of this quote unquote accountability. Accountability doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be a punishment. Accountability just means you're taking account of what has happened and the decisions that you've made. If you take accountability for the fact that you had a baby by Future, that's because you had a baby and you have to take care of your baby. That's it. There's no punishment involved in this.
The single mother hate is so out of control on YouTube, and it's not just the black guys. I mean, there's a whole bunch of white guys obsessed with single mothers too. Like, there was one video I was look, I'll just show something right here. I'm not even gonna show the video, I'm just gonna show the search result. If you just put in single mothers, like, there is nothing that they won't blame single mothers for. It'll be like, that's why the black community is where it is, because of single mothers. Like, well, what about white supremacy, slavery? Like, no, single mothers is the worst thing. Single mother triggered.
All these women just decided to wake up one day and become single mothers. Most people do not purposely want to have a child with someone they don't plan to be with. Like that, these are things that happen. They're not things that people strive for.
Yeah, because Richard Cooper on the dangers of dating single mothers. Coach Greg Adams on the danger of single mothers. This is exactly what you should never date. I'm not cherry picking. I just put single mothers and just came up. Tom Likas, why you should stay clear from single mothers. And then you have to get all the way down here before you find one nice thing about single mothers. It's like Claudia Jordan saying something on Fox Soul. Then it goes right back to form. Single mothers are the worst people to date, and here's why. What high value men think of single mother? I think is most of these guys have been dating single mothers.
What high value men think is, how the fuck would you know? You're not a high value man.
Exactly.
What is that? Like, what are you even talking about? You clearly not a value because you're on the internet telling people talking shit about women. So you clearly ain't a value. Ain't nothing valuable about your ass.
Look,
I'm married a single mom. Disastrous marriage.
And reasons to avoid dating single mom.
Because if you didn't have kids, it wouldn't have been bad either. Get the fuck out of here.
I feel like these people must have had something in their life with the single mom, and they've made the fact that they're a single mom the reason why it didn't work out or whatever. Because I don't understand why they're so personally invested in this thing. Like, if you don't want to date them, just don't date them. Like, why are you on a mission to stop everyone else from dating them? I don't understand.
Right. And they don't deserve happiness. They're a headache. You don't deserve. And this is the thing. Anybody can be a headache with or without kids.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people without kids that can be a fucking headache. And there are challenges to being with someone who has kids. But if you're okay with that, why should, if someone's okay with that, why do you have to deter them from that?
And it's like I can understand someone saying, dating a single mother is gonna be harder than dating someone who's not a single mother, or saying, if you're a single mother, you should expect dating to be a little bit harder. Like, there's the opposite where people say, if you're a single mother, it's not gonna play any problem in your dating life and everything. But I feel like everything's one extreme or the other. There's always either these people saying, it's not a problem if you're a single mother, you can live the same life. And then there's people who are like, if you're a single mother, you deserve to die. You deserve to be beat in the street like a dog. It's just, and they always, and this is true. They always think that the girl they couldn't get in high school is a single mom now. Now, whether it's true or not,
I mean, some people might be and some people might not be. You know what I mean? Like, that's this obsession with people from high school and how they should be punished in life is like ridiculous. Like, and it'd be so bad because I'd be looking and it'd be like grown motherfuckers agreeing with that shit. Even on Facebook, where you can actually see these are real people, like they literally have some sort of vendetta that doesn't make any sense to me.
But sometimes the girl they dated in high school is not even really a single mom. They just imagine it. Like a lot of people always believe like the guy who bullied them in high school is pumping gas at a gas station,
It's all fantasy.
Yeah, or the girl's a single mom. And sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not even. Like, there was a guy in my school. He was a huge douchebag. Everybody hated this dude. The guy was like 7 feet tall and like 300 pounds in high school. So, nobody fucked with him, but he was just huge. And he was like the biggest douchebag. And then I saw him on TV. He won a bunch of Super Bowl rings. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if it was a movie, the movie would be like, oh, now he's an alcoholic. He's still thinking about high school, like Al Bundy and stuff. And and so his life is not like that. Sometimes the girl that was a bitch to you, in high school, married a rich guy, and the head cheerleader. She's doing just fine. Like,
it's no guarantee. Like, there's a hodgepodge of, because I was even saying to somebody else, like, if you were popular, unpopular, middle popular, it doesn't fucking matter. Your outcome of what happens to you has no bearing on whether or not you were popular in school.
Yeah,
I'm not a single mother, and I was, I went through shit at school. I mean, that's just went through life like everybody else. I got dissed and I dissed somebody.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I don't understand. You guys are teenagers. Teenagers diss each other all day, every day, all the time. They don't want to date you. You ugly. You not funny enough, or whatever it is. Or you not cute enough. Her ass ain't fat. What? This is what. If every guy that treated me like shit in high school were to be punished, they'd all be fucking on Skid Row right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys have treated me horribly in school and even outside of school. Like, I have stories. I don't know if I told you guys many of these stories, but I have one story where this guy literally drove up to me in a parking lot just to tell me I was an ugly motherfucker. Like, that was literally what happened. I'm walking in the grocery store. So this is the kind of shit that would happen to me on a regular basis. Guys would shout out from cars how ugly I was. Or I'm in the mall and a group of guys walk by and they go, oh, he like you. No, she ugly, she fat, she this. Like, that shit is humiliating. Yeah. Never once in my adult life did I say, I hope all those guys have terrible lives. And, I can just imagine that they have, horrible baby moms that mistreat them, or, they're homeless or whatever it is. Like, I don't have these fantasies of any of that shit. I look at Facebook, I see some people online. Some of them, funny enough, are doing just fine. Some of them like me now, right? Some of them, like, there's just these hodgepodge of things that occur in high school, and now you're an adult, and those things don't matter because a hodgepodge of outcomes is what's going to happen.
And I was going to say that next. You would think what you brought up with Facebook, you would think Facebook would have cured people of that fantasy. Because I feel like that's an 80s teen movie fantasy or whatever, where the high school jock ends up like a loser or whatever. You would think Facebook and the ability to look people up would have cured so many people of this fantasy, but it still perseveres, at least online. Someone said, was it Kevin Samuels?
No.
Back in the day, he had a Jerry
curl.
Like
Kevin Samuels couldn't clown me because I've seen his pictures from back in the day.
The Jerry curl he had going on.
the perm and brushing for. I wasn't no pimp.
Oh man, that's too funny though.
Now with that perm or whatever the fuck he had, now he's not an attractive guy in the least. That's why I don't believe half the shit he says. I think he's very
when he's talking about all the smashing he was doing in college, have you seen that one?
Yeah, that's the one that convinced me that he's a liar because first of all, you're a weirdo for bragging about fucking like 300 women in college or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
like that's nothing to be proud of, and you're a fucking weirdo. Like,
especially at this age, they still be talking about it,
right?
You know what I mean? Forgot to do the house clean before. I mean, it's too late now, but might as well. Yeah, Venmo Cash App us at.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay. Venmo Cash App us at Champagne Sharks. You support the show. Hit up the super chat. Subscribe at patreon.com/Champagne Sharks to get the episodes. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you're up in here. Costs nothing to like, and yeah, just hit the super chat if you're enjoying the stream. And yeah, if you can find that comment, feel free to put it back up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad on that. Dylan and Sanders said, Vita, I think people criticize single mothers because they often lack self-awareness and expect a man to take care of their kids and aren't grateful. So this is my issue with that. Because you're saying, this is what you said that I find to be interesting. You said because they often lack self-awareness, which is a thing that's not gender specific and definitely not specific to parents and definitely not specific to mothers, single or otherwise, right? Like lack of self-awareness is a common thing. Okay. And expect a man to take care of their kids. A lot of women don't have that expectation. Funny enough, a lot of them don't even let you meet their fucking kids. So that's again, this blanketed thing is like, you sound stupid, not you personally, because I don't know if this is your belief. But what I'm saying, those criticisms sound fucking stupid. Because when you start labeling people blanketly as though they're not human beings and there aren't different dynamics to what that is, you're an idiot, right? Whether I can see if your preference is someone who doesn't have kids, that's fine. That's your personal preference. You don't have. I recommend if you don't want kids or don't want to date somebody with kids, then don't do it. Don't even put yourself through it if that's not your thing. Totally fine. But to berate them and tell other people that they shouldn't be dating them is ridiculous.
But also I'm gonna say also the part about them lacking self-awareness. Like, I mean, a lot of people lack self-awareness. I don't understand. Like, I don't think it's limited to single moms.
Niggas saying that shit lacks self-awareness.
Yeah. And expect a man to take care of their kids. I mean, I think that depends. Like, I don't think most single moms expect every man that they go on a date with to take care of their kids. But I expect if the man's gonna marry them or get serious about them, then you should expect the man to take care of your kids. Like,
right. If you're married.
yeah. Like, if you're gonna marry, I mean, to use an example, my mom was a single mother when my dad met her, and she was married, but even though she was like, my father was a second marriage, but even though, because that's another thing, these people don't make a difference between people who, not that it matters, but they don't even make a difference between someone who was already married and didn't work out or someone who was never married and ended up a single mom. They act like the person went into the marriage expecting it to fail or something, so or whatever. But it's like, of course you're gonna expect someone to take care of your kids if you're gonna get married, but like just in the dating stage, I don't think they say, hey, we're going on the first date. Oh, by the way, tuition's due. You know, like that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think people get jaded by looking at the outlier stories that show up online, whether they're real or not. You know, like most people that I know, most women that I know that are single mothers are not trying to have some man take care of their kids just because they're dating them. If there's a man that they take care of their kids, it's a man that they believe they're going to marry or they're married to, or, you know, are planning to marry, right? So this idea that there's that's what single moms want. There are so many different types of people that exist, right? Do you know how stupid that sounds? It's like when people say, oh, girls from South Central, you know, or from the hood, they're all ghetto and uneducated and da-da-da-da. And you sound fucking stupid because if you came to South Central and you started actually talking to individuals, you see a plethora of different types of people, some with degrees, some with no degrees, some with trades, some who, you know, like there's all these different types of, some people work at the bank, like whatever, there's different types of people with different types of experience. Like, they're individual. These are all individualized. Whether you want to realize it or not, it's very individualistic. Every situation is not the same. Every single parent isn't the same. Some single parents have all their shit together. Some single parents don't have all their shit together. Some people without kids have their shit together. People with some people without kids have nothing together, or have it together. Whatever. Like these rules that you guys have applied, that this is the rule of things, it's ridiculous because people are diverse. There are different circumstances.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I have to go. I just forgot I had an appointment.
Oh, word.
Hate to be abrupt, but I'm actually late for a Zoom meeting I'm supposed to have.
No. It's all good. I'm
all
about
right.
to go too.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and take care.
All right.